Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty the King, accompanied by Her Majesty Queen Rania, left Amman heading to New York. His Majesty will be leading the Jordanian delegation to the 72nd session of the United Nations General Assembly. On the sidelines of the session, His Majesty will meet with heads of state and delegations taking part in the meetings. Deputizing for His Majesty, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein will deliver Jordan's speech before the United Nations General Assembly. His Royal Highness Prince Ali ibn al-Hussein was sworn in as regent in the presence of the cabinet. Jordan condemned a terrorist explosion on a tube train in southwest London that targeted civilians and caused the injury of several people. Minister of State for Media Affairs Mohammed al-Momani reiterated Jordan's condemnation of all acts of terrorism. Momani said Jordan stands by the UK and all countries that were targeted by the forces of terrorism and evil, calling for a unified stance to face this phenomenon. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Theresa May said it was not helpful for anyone to speculate on ongoing investigations after US President Donald Trump tweeted that the culprits behind the train bombing in London had been in the sights of the police. Trump's comments appeared to point the finger at British police. May's former Chief of Staff, Nick Timothy, also chimed in, saying Trump's comment was so unhelpful from the leader of an ally and intelligence partner. Today's attack was the fifth in Britain this year. Here's more.
A homemade bomb blew up on a London Underground train on Friday in what police say was the fifth terrorism attack in Britain this year. 22 people suffered burns or were hurt in the stampede to get off the train. None of the injuries were thought to be serious. The bomb went off during the morning rush hour at Parsons Green Station in West London.
You know, people shouting, screaming, so I've just run out as well. Obviously, like I said, Parsons Green being a small train station, you know, it's very tight. You know, there isn't enough space for everyone to get out at the same time, so people are, you know, pushing each other, people are dropping on the floor.
Unverified images from social media show a burning bucket with wires sticking out of it. British media reporting it was a bomb with a timer. A manhunt is now underway, London's Mayor Sadiq Khan said, but it's not clear if police have a specific suspect in their sights. Prime Minister Theresa May convening Britain's Cobra Emergency Response Committee, while US President Donald Trump tweeted another attack in London by a loser terrorist. 4 attacks blamed on terrorists have killed 36 people in Britain this year. In the deadliest, in May, 22 people were killed in a suicide bombing at an Ariana Grande concert, many of them teenage fans. And this isn't the first time London's tube has been the target. In 2005, 4 British Islamists carried out suicide bomb attacks on 3 London Underground trains and a bus. They killed 52 people.
Russia, Iran and Turkey have agreed to post observers on the edge of a de-escalation zone in northern Syria's Idlib region for 6 months. A joint statement for the 3 nations following a new round of talks in the Kazakh capital said the zones will include, fully or partly, eastern Ghouta, the provinces of Idlib, Hims, Latakia, Aleppo and Hama. The observers' mission would be to prevent clashes between the Syrian government and opposition forces. The 6-month term could be extended in the future. The next round of talks in Astana are scheduled for October. North Korea fired a missile today that flew over Japan's northern Hokkaido far out into the Pacific Ocean, further ratcheting up tensions after Pyongyang's recent test of its most powerful nuclear bomb. The missile reached an altitude of about 770 kilometers, flying for about 19 minutes over a distance of 3,700 kilometers. South Korea responded immediately to the launch with a round of military drills that included firing a missile into the sea. In response, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that the North's continuing missile tests threatened the entire world and stressed the United States was working closely with regional allies Japan and South Korea on the problem. Tillerson said to a gathering of the Community of Democracies that North Korea is now a global threat and requires a global response from all nations. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned North Korea's missile launch over Japan, saying he would discuss the situation at next week's General Assembly gathering. In a statement read by the UN chief spokesperson, Guterres called on the North's leadership to cease further testing, comply with the relevant Security Council resolutions, and allow space to explore the resumption of sincere dialogue on denuclearization.
Yet another ballistic missile attack, missile launched by the...
It is being called the world's first largest street art museum. The Urban Nation Museum for Urban Contemporary Art opens tomorrow in Berlin, hoping to establish itself as a cultural institution for the international and national urban art scene. The German capital, already known for extensive graffiti murals along a former stretch of the Berlin Wall, is a natural fit for the project. The museum is set to host the works of 150 international and local street artists in an exhibition dedicated to public space art, aiming to become a platform for graffiti, wall painting, and other art in public spaces.
Wie Sie schon sehen, entstehen sofort neue Perspektiven für die gesamte Kunst.
In sports, Briton Mark Beaumont is nearing the end of his world record attempt to cycle around the globe in 80 days. He is expected to arrive in Paris on Monday. Beaumont set himself the challenge of cycling around 29,000 kilometers across the planet. His trip has seen him crossing east across Europe through Poland, Russia, Mongolia and China before hopping onto a plane and then cycling from Perth to Brisbane across the deserts of Australia, and cycling again through New Zealand before crossing North America from Alaska to eastern Canada, and finally starting again from Lisbon, cycling back to Paris. The target was to cycle around 16 hours every day.
As we were coming into Beijing, we got separated from Mark.
I mean, nearly as much. It's a lot faster. There's a lot more for my neck to take. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to be careful.
And finally, for a quick look at the weather, relatively hot conditions will prevail tomorrow as the heat wave tapers off tonight and temperatures drop to their annual average. The capital Amman can expect a high of 31 degrees Celsius, while further south in the Gulf of Aqaba, mercury levels will hit a high of 37 degrees with northerly moderate winds and calm seas. And with this, we come to the end of this edition. I'm Alia Tuqan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.